Level 39 is Europe's largest accelerator space for three types of technology companies: fintech, financial technologies, retail technologies, and future cities technologies. We launched 8 weeks ago and we've had over 180 applications, so we're delighted. What we do is startups apply to join us, and then we look at their business and see how we can help them, if we can help them. And then from the day we accept them, we just work our tails off to help them succeed, which means connecting them with investors, connecting them with customers, helping them identify the gaps in their businesses. It might be a talent gap, it might be a productization gap. And we work very hard to help them succeed faster, hence acceleration, than they would do if they were trying to work by themselves out of their bedroom. The question about why are startups important is it's a terrific question, because normally a country or a city will try to attract a major corporation to become an employer, but there's a dependency then on the success of that single company. And that's a bit of a problem. It's not really a properly diversified economy. So smart cities will try to attract diverse range of businesses so that it can suffer the fluctuations of, changing economies. So startups are amazing for that because two reasons. One is because they give you an incredibly diverse number of types of businesses, and all of them, certainly in their first few years, rapidly employ. So just think about it, 1,000 startups employing 5 people each is 5,000 people in the workforce in a 2 to 3 year period. That's very hard to do for inward investment, when you compare it to inward investment. And the real magic behind that is that if they all produce something and they create a little bit of prosperity, it contributes to the ecosystem. But out of, say, 5,000 startups, you're going to get maybe 5 or 10 home runs, if you like, which the investor community is going to really celebrate and make successful. But you need a critical mass of quite a lot of them before you actually create one of those 5 or 10 really successful companies. The example of Tech City London, which from just a few years ago had less than a couple of hundred companies, which had naturally started to base themselves in the area known as Silicon Roundabout in Shoreditch, to close to 5,000 startups just today, just a couple of years later, and partly because the natural ecosystem has done so well to support the density of the cluster. And that's what you really got to go for, density of cluster, which is a combination of factors, including it's got to be the kind of place that people want to live and work. So it's very important to get the whole balance of the ecosystem right. A good question to ask is, what are the challenges that actually slow down the growth of an ecosystem? And one of the biggest challenges are things that are like immigration. Now, immigration is always a sensitive topic for any government to address. And when things are tough, you tend to find that someone in government or a politician somewhere will decide to jump on this nationalist bandwagon to protect. Okay, but that is the biggest mistake that anybody can make in any commercial economy, is to put up barriers, artificial barriers, to the flow of talent, ideas, and trade. And so actually, if you ever hear that, then actually the sensible people in business really need to explain that it must be possible for the brightest and most talented people to travel between borders, to be able to go and do work where the work can create prosperity, because everybody will benefit. It's almost the same for trade tariffs. My father told me about trade tariffs and dumping duties when the world used to raise trade barriers, and we fought very hard to make sure that we can export and treat the world as a common market. And so anything like that, and right now there's probably a policy wonk somewhere thinking, I can make some revenues for my country by putting a trade barrier on, say, digital trade. Can you imagine? If anybody tells you anything like that, make sure you don't let them do it, because we must encourage free-flowing trade, economy and talent as appropriate in order to succeed. Now, I understand that's not something that everybody can do. Immigration is sensitive. You've got to get the right kind of people moving across border. But a sensible policy and not a blanket, let's stop everyone, is the right way to go.